This is tough. You know, our free speech protections that we describe is a really good argument.
Yeah.
Like, who would write about Weinstein? The guy's got so much money, he's going to bury you in legal fees. And because of our laws, people were able to write the stuff.
Right.
But at the same time, there are what about not wealthy public figures whose lives and businesses are destroyed? So I think about how this pertains to Section 230 and these big tech companies. Notably, remember that it was the I'll just call it the poopy men in media list, because I'm going to try to avoid swearing, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
For those that aren't familiar, there was a list that was put together where people just put random accusations on it of like men who were engaged in assault or impropriety, and it resulted in some people having their lives completely destroyed. There was one dude who was innocent, falsely accused, and he wrote this article, and it was really weird. And he said the reason why his story is fake is because he had a very strange sexuality or something that didn't make sense based on what they'd accused him of. And it was just someone who was vindictive and hated him. He lost his job. Nobody would hire him because they knew he was on the list. And then now he works at a theater as a theater manager or something ridiculous.
But that woman is being sued. The woman who put who made the list, and then I think other people added to it. She's being sued, and it's a very interesting case.
It is. Yeah, it's been going on for a while, though.
Yeah. The Section 230 stuff is very interesting on this front. Yeah.
Well, so here's the challenge. What happens if someone tweets, what wasn't it? Wasn't it like a Google Doc the one tweeted or something?
The list?
Yeah.
It was a Google Doc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a bunch of people.
But it was not made to be made public. It was a private Google Doc.
Right.
And then somebody else made it public. So that might matter too.
I actually don't think that matters. No, in defamation, private defamation is the same. So if you and I are having a conversation about, John Smith, and you're like, oh yeah, John Smith, he's a guy, I might work with him, and I'm like, no, that guy's a Nazi. And then you're like, whoa.
Well, right. Then it has to have caused material harm. So
this is,
presumably it doesn't if it's just a private conversation. But
this is the challenge, because when you get these, far left individuals who engage in these smear tactics against, say, someone like Andy Ngo, where they know they're lying and they completely falsely frame or push things out of context, it is very different to an individual in the real world saying something. Technology has created a completely different atmosphere where you can literally destroy someone and then argue, I'm but a snowflake in the avalanche. Yeah. I only said my opinion. But when so how do you stop this? If Twitter knows something is overtly wrong or false, it's a serious challenge. I'm for free speech.
Right.
Well,
should they? I mean, we're having this conversation right now. Twitter is right now. Twitter is the more aggressively biased social media platform, to my mind.
I think Facebook is worse now.
I don't think that.
You don't think so?
I think Mark Zuckerberg has. The things his stated commitment to free speech is much stronger than Jack Dorsey's.
Definitely.
The things he said at the committee meetings. Facebook has been stronger on saying we're really not going to try to fact check ads. They're ads. Sorry. I think Facebook, to a greater degree, has said we're gonna. They're still gonna. They still do some policing or plenty of policing of misinformation to some degree, but I think in a less heavy-handed or biased way. Facebook is so good. This is why I get upset with conservatives who want to get rid of Section 230. Facebook has been such a powerful platform for conservative speech.
Oh, definitely.
Breitbart, Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro, Dan Bongino, their views on Facebook dwarf mainstream media. So if you were going to tinker with Facebook's liability for what appears on its platform, good. So the media wants, Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren support getting rid of Section 230,
right?
Because they're smart people on some level, and they realize that conservatives can succeed in an alternate media environment, whereas the New York Times isn't even going to ever print a Republican senator's opinion again. So yeah, let's go back to that world. Why do people like Josh Hawley want that? It's insane.
Well, I think that is a mistake, but I think we need 230 reform.
If I was to if it could be tweaked in a way to, I think, probably protect privacy of non-public people, especially maybe their videos or something, I might be on board with that. But I'm so worried that any attempt to change it will just result in it being done away with.
But the problem is, on Twitter, for example, they will ban conservatives for saying "learn to code." It's clearly not within the scope of 230. So
it's not. No, they can do whatever. They can do whatever they want.
The good faith provision of 230 says objectionable content. Are you going to argue in court that banning someone for saying #learn to code is would a reasonable person believe that is objectionable, or that lewd and lascivious or violent or graphic? No, of course not.
230 just says they can do good faith moderation.
Of objectionable content. So this,
Right.
this a conversation that we've had on the show quite a bit is, one thing Trump's tried to do is define what good faith is, what objectionable is, because Twitter is certainly not engaged in good faith. I think if you presented the evidence to a reasonable jury, they'd say that's definitely not good faith. Somebody like Zuby, for instance, okay dude. He tweeted okay dude at somebody who he didn't know was trans, and he got suspended for it. That's not good faith.
Well, the issue with the suspensions, though, is they're all complaint-driven. So it ends up looking biased, and maybe the impact is biased.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah.
it's because there's more lefty people complaining.
Absolutely.
So people always say, why is this up when this, or why is this taken down when this is up? And you can do that ad infinitum. On YouTube, you can do that with a trillion, and there's so much
Right.
content. And the answer is always, someone complained about that. Someone didn't complain about that. What do you do?
It's because the left is organized.
Right.
And because they'll say, hey, everybody go flag this tweet and get it taken
But
down.
I'm saying I don't know how the social media platform can solve that problem. I don't know how they could, or if they should be held accountable. That's going to be the nature. With so much content, not enough. You can't police it on the front end, or any of you required people to approve it before it appears. That's the end of the whole game.
So
I don't know what to do.
You have content being there's a lot of problems with Facebook, and Facebook, I think, absolutely crossed the line with, I think Facebook's in direct violation of 230 by appointing fact checkers right off the bat.
Why?
So
I like that, but I like you're talking about that council. I think that council, which includes there's a free speech scholar of Cato. There's some people who seem to have
no,
considered.
not that.
Oh.
I'm talking about how there is a special editorial group on Facebook where you go through the Pointer Institute. You get certified, and then your organization can determine whether things are true or false.
Those are the fact checkers.
Right.
But they also didn't they give the Daily Caller fact checker status as well?
Yeah. But it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter if there's a conservative or two. It matters that they have a special class of people who can flag my content as false. So I had a post I made about Bill Clinton. And the woman who ID'd him on the island in the court documents that went out. My tweet was 100% factually true, and a fact-checking organization put a block over it saying it was false information. Well, that's a statement of fact that my post is false when it was in fact true, and they knew it was true because the dude told me on the phone he knew it was true. So now we're talking about actual malice. When you link to the guy's, so it says false information. Here's why. When you click it, it sends you to his website where he makes money, I'm assuming, off of ads. So by putting fake fact checks on my content, he can make people click his link to his website and get cash off it, even though he knows what I posted was true. That's a special class of people. That is not a regular person. That would be like the New York Times hiring a fact checker to go in and change posts and link to other content. That's completely editorial. And that's Facebook. So listen.
That seems like a bad idea or something they should not do, but it seems like the solution is to complain about it until they stop doing it. Or
Facebook told me right off the bat. I emailed their politics person. They said, we will not intervene in any way. They said they have the right to do so. And so my question now is, this is a really interesting.
But it's their company, right? I mean, they can do what they want at the end of the day.
Not if they're stealing the commons. I completely disagree with that. So
it's a private company. They own it.
So if a private company puts up fences around town square and puts armed guards around
it's not town square. It's their property. It's their town square. They may act like it's the town square, but at the end of the day, it's theirs. The best way you can complain about their rules, but it's a free product they give you.
See, this I think this is where we have a strong disagreement. If they've taken over the commons due to technological advancement, then we have a duty to regulate that to protect the public.
There's no way it's a monopoly. It's not. It's a free product. I don't believe it has staying. If it makes enough people mad, enough people are dissatisfied with it, a rival could easily come around. Twitter is to some degree. These other companies are to some degree.
They've
a
tried,
rival.
and you know what's happened?
Well, I remember MySpace being a big thing. It's gone now.
And what happens?
Parler could come along.
And what happens when? And you know what they did to Minds? Minds.com. There was a block on it. Facebook wouldn't let you link to the website. You'd get a warning saying, nope, you can't go there.
If you're going there from Facebook.
Facebook made it so that if you ever tried, I think they've removed it since then, but Google and Facebook for a while blocked the URL to minds.com.
Google is a more compelling monopoly case to my mind than Facebook. It's just
it's not so much an argument about monopoly, because what service does Facebook provide is a bigger question, connecting you to loved ones. Right. Then if that's the case, then they do have a monopoly. And if they're restricting what you can say, and they've taken over the communication lines between you and your parents because you don't call them anymore because you just talk to them on Facebook Messenger, then they are starting to take away from the public space.
Well, that's like saying Giant has a monopoly on groceries because I'm too lazy to walk 2 more blocks to Trader Joe's.
Or Trader Joe's got shut down because Facebook moved in, dropped the prices to a ridiculous degree because they can afford to.
Giant's not required to advertise for Trader Joe's in the Giant.
So here's the issue. If
it's their building.
So Facebook could ban you and your ideology outright. Your ideas, everything would cease to exist in a generation.
Within Facebook. What do you mean?
And where's
they can't purge the thought from other people? No, so you're too on. This is where we disagree. You are too online. It's only that, like, there's so many other places conversations are happening. Also, I wouldn't be happy that I would complain vociferously.
Where are people where are they getting their news from? Where are people getting their news from?
Not just Facebook.
The younger generation, it's almost exclusively social media, and it's predominantly Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So YouTube is a video hub. Facebook is specifically an interactivity between you and people you've chosen to form a network with, and Twitter is mostly people following high-profile individuals. So these are not. It's hard to quantify what each space does, but Facebook definitely has seized a large portion of the commons.
And on these platforms, alternate ideas are thriving like they never have before, and like they never would under the mainstream media paradigm.
Absolutely. But we have to make sure we maintain that. Otherwise, we create a more there's big challenges in both directions. If we absolutely limited 230, so just to clarify for people who aren't familiar, this is the liability protection for these companies. Then you would end up with like porn sweeping across Facebook because porn is legal content.
Right.
And so that's why they have the good faith moderation provision. But the issue I'm bringing up
or just like harassment on a level that no one wants to. It would just be so
absolutely,
which they would have to do if you applied the First Amendment in the same way. I've encountered proposals. Will Chamberlain wants. I don't know if you know who that is.
Absolutely, he's going to be here tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you should yell at him about this. We've had this debate. That's what he wants. He thinks the same First Amendment. It should be nationalized in a sense that the First Amendment should apply to it. Well, they can't police they can't police anything.
They can.
Westboro Baptist Church rules apply. That would be a very bad idea.
They absolutely can, though, so long as they're
not under Will Chamberlain's proposal.
No, they can. Yours. So for instance, the way Minds does it is that there's effectively 2 layers. Everyone is allowed to post, but if you cross a certain line, then you get a not safe for work filter that has to be turned on. But people can just choose to be like, I want to follow who I want to follow regardless. You break the rules, you go in filter mode. That's a easy way to keep people on the platform while allowing people to stay in their walled garden or whatever. The problem with Facebook that I'm bringing up specifically as it pertains to 230 is that Facebook is allowing companies to make money off of defaming me. And that's Facebook saying, we've elected this special class of people. We've chosen them specifically to make statements on behalf of Facebook that regular people can't, that this is false information or not. Statements of fact that are not based on public user bases. I can't go into Facebook and put a tag on your post saying it's fake. Facebook appointed people to do that. That is a Facebook editorial assignment. That is not protected under 230.
That might not be protected under 230 currently.
In which case, they're in violation of their liability protections, and anybody should be able to challenge them in that regard. And Twitter, the same thing.
Well, it's just like they couldn't put out 230 wouldn't protect them from putting out a press release that libeled you. So it's the situation you're describing might be close enough to that.
If the New York,
but that doesn't require 230 reform. Because that would not be. That's fine.
No, right. I'm just saying Facebook's already in violation.
Okay. Maybe they are.
And I guess there's probably a longer legal conversation about whether they are or they aren't. But the way I see it is, if the New York Times is curating content, or actually a better example is like BuzzFeed's community posts they used to have. Yeah. They choose what to post. So if someone writes something and the New York Times says, we have a freelance writer who's been appointed to post an article, the New York Times is responsible for what they say when they publish that.
Sure.
If Facebook is saying we have this select group of 12 people, 12 organizations who can publish tags on posts, it's not like an article or anything, but they literally called me a liar and it wasn't true. And it just drives traffic from people who want to see my content. It wasn't actually me who posted, it was a screenshot of one of my tweets from a different Facebook page. People can make money off this. Facebook has empowered people to make money by defaming other people. Facebook has created that class. They're not regular users.
If you turned on talk radio or cable news, people make money off of saying untrue things about people all the time.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It is a major way for people to make money just in general.
They can be sued, depending on what line they cross in terms of how they, what they say. And
I guess I'd be more for expanding the protections for saying things, even if things that are wrong, in that direction, rather than like holding Facebook to the same standard or something. Because I think it's most cases it's best handled by calling it out, rather than to my mind the lawsuits should be for areas of unique harm to people who are not public people, perhaps involving publication of like private or embarrassing stuff. There's where you find sympathy from me for like do we need to tweak the system to more protect people from sites like Gawker, from what they did.
Well,
I don't have the answer, but that's the area where I'm more. There's some kind of they're like publication of private facts can be an element of defamation.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.